You've got questions, we've got answers. Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, answering the questions that new leaders ask us. My goal is to help all leaders become more productive, confident, and successful. And today, we're talking about leading your team when they don't want to change. Are you ready? Let's get started. So here's the question that we recently received. It says, Kevin, how do I implement a change that my team doesn't believe is needed? Well, it's a great question, and change is hard, and this happens all the time. The first thing we've got to remember is that in the end, change is a choice. Now think about it this way. There have been lots of times in your life when there's been a change that was given to you, came to you, or offered to you that at first you weren't interested in. But at some point you changed your mind and became on board with it for one of many reasons. The point here is that just because your team doesn't believe a change is needed now doesn't mean that you can't get them there. Remember, change is a choice. What we want to do in the end is help them make one of three choices. The first choice is to make a new choice about this particular change. That's probably the one you're thinking about, right? Like, how do I get them to go from no to yes on this change? That's one choice. The second choice is to get them to not worry about the past, but to focus on the future. Can't change the past anyway, so if we can get them focused on the future and get them to think about next steps, okay, this change is coming, what can we do to make the best of it, kind of thing. Right? That's another choice. And by the way, when they make that choice and they start taking action, you'll start to move the needle. And the third choice that they could make is to say, it's a foregone conclusion. There's nothing we can do about it. You know, it's a new government regulation. We don't like it, but it's a foregone conclusion, so the choice is to let it go. Let's not continue to spend mental energy, emotional energy, wringing our hands, worrying about, complaining, or what other words you want to use to describe that, whining about it. Let it go. We want to help our teams make one of those three choices. Now, how do we help them do that? Well, the first thing you got to do is you've got to ask them more questions. You've got to engage them in a conversation so that they start talking about their concerns. Now, the mistake that leaders make is they want to talk about the change. They want to convert them by talking longer and talking louder, when what they need to do is step back, ask questions, and say, so tell me what your concerns are. So help me understand what is bothering you about this. Any things like that that open up the conversation. A couple things happen here. Number one is you build trust because you're not getting defensive, but you're just asking and listening. That's the first part. The second part is really important here, is that oftentimes once people talk about it, some of their resistance starts to melt away. Sometimes all people want to do is just be heard. And so if we keep our focus on helping them make one of those choices, and we do it through the asking of questions and the creating of conversation and dialogue, instead of creating defensiveness, instead of saying thou shalt, if we move in that direction, we've got a much better chance of getting the results that we want. And so that sort of gets us to the point of the tweet that I want to give you today. Here's your nugget. Here's your tweet. Force doesn't work. Leaders must help the team choose the change. Remember always that change is a choice. I hope that this was a useful answer to a very valuable question. And if it was, I hope that you'll share this with others in your social media stuff or whatever. I'd love for you to do exactly that. And if you're in that transition from bud to boss, I hope that you'll take advantage of all the other things that you'll find on this page to help you in that transition, whether that's change or any of the other challenging issues that we face as new leaders. Thanks so much.